I'm going to ask that classic Swakakus question that every rock guitarist, or when they start playing blues, thinks that blues is easy, that it's simple. Tell the folks why it's more complicated than that, man. It's because, you see, it seems simple from a distance. Actually, it is simple, but it's not easy and it's not simplistic, right? It's just that simple. You understand the scales, see, but man, using the tools of expression, communicating like those guys communicate, that's another level, right? Or do you go beyond that? Do you go there?
Yeah, Mark, no, that's right. It's simple, but not easy. It's simple in terms of structure. The structure is very simple, right? There are variations, of course. You don't just have the 12-bar blues, you have other forms, right? There are 8-bar, 16-bar, and other things, some that deviate a bit from the standard.
There's jazz blues, which goes to different turnarounds.
Yeah, 251, 6-251, and so on, right? Then there's also the blues schools, Texas blues, West Coast blues, Chicago blues, the more traditional Mississippi Delta blues, New Orleans blues, blues mixed with funk, with rock, with hip-hop, with country, with and so on, and so on. But in terms of structure, it's simple. In terms of understanding, it's simple. But the way of interpreting is where it gets tricky, because it involves a lot feeling and a lot of language. You have to understand it very well. So, for example, a guitarist who doesn't know much about blues might say, well, blues is very easy, learn the pentatonic scale, learn the form, and starts playing. Since he doesn't know much about blues, he might think he's playing well, that this is it too. But those who understand the style, who have musicality, know, and this guy's not there yet. He doesn't have the language. He doesn't have the language exactly. I think it's the same if we bring an example to spoken language, for instance. We are starting, let's bring it to our side, for example. We have someone from abroad who is learning to speak Portuguese. And the person, you hear them speaking and it's like, wow, what's that? Accent, right? Strong accent. It's hard to understand, such a strange thing and all. It's the same thing if you understand the style very well and there's someone who is currently learning that style, thinks they already know it. We hear it the same way. You who come from the jazz school and all, when you see someone playing who has never played jazz, for example, me, I'm not from jazz, right? I studied jazz, I get some things, it's part of it. I love bebop, I love Charlie Parker. Wes Montgomery, Joe Pass, those guys, I studied them a lot, but I'm not a jazz guitarist. So if I play, you'll notice that I'm not a jazz guitarist because you're more inclined towards jazz guitar. So, you know, Arthur doesn't have the jazz language, but he comes from blues, jazz comes from blues, so he manages, he's savvy, right?
But actually, there's one of these albums here, I don't know if it's from 2018, that has a blues track, man. What kind of groove is it, man? I don't know if it's a rockabilly, something that has a turnaround.
There is.
And you even give it a slight bebop touch, right? What song is that? Do you remember specifically?
I think it's Love and Roll. It could be kind of a swing, kind of rockabilly. My Jockabillo.
But that's what you're talking about, because blues is the mother of jazz and rock. It gave birth to both, but they are not identical. Each one has its own personality, grows, and then becomes a new world. So I agree with you 100%. I think it's cool, because those who are more immature tend to think that with the pentatonic scale, you can solve blues. And maybe it does solve it, but not just with the pentatonic scale. You need more elements. And I'm going to bring up some blues guys here. You could quickly touch on their importance to you and say what you really think of each of them. First would be Steve Ray Vaughan. Was he really the most important guy for you?
He was the first one who really caught my attention. But I remember well that the first time I heard Texas Flood, which is his first studio album, I listened to it and I didn't like it the first time. But I'm kind of like that sometimes. Poliana and I, we have several discussions. Sometimes she brings something new to me, a fashion element, mine, or a musical idea. And I'm like, I don't know if I like this. Then she says, I know you in 2 days, you'll like it. And usually I'm like that. But I listened the first time, I listened and thought, where's the distortion? Like I heard it in AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. Where's the overdrive? Where's that cleaner sound thing? How strange and all. Where's that punch? Then after I listened the second time, after a few days, then damn, yeah, that's awesome, man. How intense. He plays some fast phrases, kind of clean. And there's a lot of feeling in each note. And it's a different approach. And it was from there that it really moved me. And the importance of Stevie Ray is for having introduced me to other blues guitarists, because he's a more modern guy, a bit more rock blues, right? A more frenetic thing. Of course, there are the ballads, the slow blues and all, the shuffles, but there's a more frenetic aspect. He captivates more people coming from rock, brings more youth to blues and all. He played this fundamental role, right? I believe that, for example, it was the Stones, right? The invasion, the British invasion, right? At the time, the Stones, the Beatles, Jeff Beck, Clapton, those guys opened the eyes of blues again. And I think there was another opening with Steve in the 80s as well, which continues with him to this day. But that's it. His importance to me is that, and bringing me to other guys, because once I got to know Steve, I wanted to understand more deeply who he was. And then you get to his influences, Albert Collins, Albert King, B.B. King as well, Jimi Hendrix, like those guys, Lonnie Mack, Otis Rush, all those guys. From them, you open up to others and open up to others, and then it opens up and creates a connection like neurons, right?
Like synapses, right?
Very crazy.
And he also has this dynamic thing that's incredible, right, man? Because he has a clean sound, and having dynamics with a clean sound is even more complicated, right? Because you don't have the dive issue, you lower the volume, you change the sound a lot. And he, developed this dynamic aspect a lot, and really, I don't remember a guy playing with that kind of punch before, right, man? Are there any other guys who took on this more virtuosic side like he did? I don't think so.
Because you see, Hendrix was all about that fuzz, right? Fuzz face, just a barrage of sound. But you don't see Hendrix going hard on the guitar. He hits the guitar hard in other ways, right? But not in the playing style, right? He played with a light touch.
He wasn't that virtuosic either, right, man?
It was more about the composition, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Albert Collins, who was also a big influence on Steve, though, played with his fingers, right? That kind of thing, like cleaner sound too, but with a lot of reverb as well. Steve used that. Albert King, the same thing, fingers too, with the flying V and all. So I don't know. I think it's really about the style, unless I'm missing someone.
Thank you for watching this segment of the Starling Cast. You can watch the full episode here in the video description. And take the opportunity, if you're a guitarist, to join the largest virtual school in Brazil, exclusive for guitarists, by clicking on the QR code or in the video description. I'll see you there.